Lex Luthor stares upon the landing helicopter carrying his father Lionel Luthor. When he says it's a beautiful day, Lex says that there's a storm on the way. Lionel came to the Smallville plant to give a motivational speech. Lex says there's an increase in profit from the last 2 years. As he stands in front of the workers, he says that a business is only good as its leadership, and that due to management failures, he's closing the plant effective immediately. People are angry. Lex says that he fired 2,500 people and gets blamed for it. However, Lionel says that Smallville isn't in his future. Lex gets mad and says that he's just doing this because he didn't work for him in Metropolis. Lionel says that Smallville was just a training ground. Clark's preparing for the spring form. Chloe says that Luthor Corp is going to be closed. Jonathan blames Lex for the plant as it's going to hurt a lot of people. Lana and Whitney are picnicking. He thanks her for being at his side. He then shows her a letter. He has enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. Saturday night he is being shipped out and wants Lana to wait for him. Clark looks upon the octagonal-shaped disc. Lex says he has a plan to counter his father. He then puts the disc into a box. Chloe's dad is talking about moving back to Metropolis permanently, but she's at least looking forward to Saturday night. Lex has organized a private meeting with some employees. He wants to raise the capital for an employee-led buyout. He can raise nearly 90% of the capital. A man says if they're supposed to mortgage their houses, to which Lex replies that he knows it's a risk, but they can become minority owners. If they stand with him, they will win. Clark's upset because Chloe might be leaving for good. She tells him Whitney is going to join the Marines and wants her to wait for him, but she isn't sure. They can't believe that Chloe and Whitney are both leaving. Clark's building a wooden fence. He's reflecting. When he enters the car and turns the key, it suddenly explodes. Huge flames erupt. Clark breaks open the door and comes out unharmed. As he stands there, we see he's on camera. It is Roger Nixon. Jonathan says it must have been a leaky fuel line, but Clark's happy it wasn't one of them. He says he barely felt the heat and the debris didn't leave any bruises. Martha believes his body is getting stronger as he gets older. Lex tells Lionel that he's forcing a vote of the board of directors to accept an employee buyout of the plant. But Lionel tells him he'll still come up short. He shows him a letter. He has bought the Smallville savings and loan, and so he will own the employee mortgages. Chloe is concerned that Clark will go after Lana after Whitney leaves. He then gives her gifts to calm her down. Lana sees the action as she passes by. At the Talon, Clark's approached by Nixon, who wants to write a story about him. He asks Clark how he wasn't injured after the truck explosion, but Clark says he wasn't near that truck. When Lex arrives, he pretends he doesn't know Nixon. Clark mentions that he wants to do a story on him. He's made out to be some kind of hero. Lex tells him not to get mixed up. Clark tells his parents about Nixon and believes he set up the car explosion. He says since Phelan he has been very careful. Jonathan says he just needs to go on with his life. Clark then says he believes Lex has a piece of the spaceship. But this conversation is being listened to by Nixon. Jonathan tells him not to use his abilities during his chores and to stay away from the storm cellar. Nixon takes the disc. Lex warns him, but Nixon says that he has strong evidence about the Kents, which he will show him tonight. Lex tells Clark that whatever happens, they will still be friends. He has a bad feeling of the things to come. Whitney and Lana enter the gym. He puts in a disc and they have one last dance together before he leaves. Clark and Chloe meet up before leaving. Chloe says that it looks like a storm is coming. Nixon is spying on them and he's carrying the disc. Everyone arrives at the gym. Whitney apologizes to Clark for what he did to him. He tells him to look after Lana until he gets back. Clark promises him. He then leaves with Lana as she waves at Clark. She gives Whitney her necklace. They hug and he tells her goodbye. As he's about to enter the bus, she gives him one final hug. The storm cellar doors open and Roger Nixon is there recording with his camera. He uncovers the spaceship. He then says he will become filthy rich. At the dance, the kids enjoy. Lana's driving back whilst crying. We see dark clouds and thunder in the distance. But her car is suddenly hit and she loses control and then crashes. She gets out and we see tornado clouds. She gets back in and is afraid. Jonathan and Martha are going to the storm cellar but find it to be open. As Nixon holds the disc, it flies out of his hand and goes into the spaceship. Jonathan grabs Nixon. He says he knew the car explosion wouldn't hurt Clark. When he asked if Lex sent him, he says he doesn't need Lex and will tell the whole world about Clark. As Jonathan's beating him up, the spaceship flies. Nixon flees, but Jonathan follows him. Martha can't stop him. Suddenly the spaceship starts glowing intensely and then opens up. The school dance is interrupted. They are told that there are 3 tornado funnels headed towards Smallville. They can't leave the gym. Clark's concerned about Lana. As Chloe's about to call her, he's suddenly gone. Lex is searching for a disc and damns Nixon. Lionel abruptly enters and says that he's using his mother's stock to fund the buyout. He tells him it's suicide. Lex says he's forging a new destiny free from Lionel. As Lionel threatens him, the storm enters. Lex is thrown away and Lionel is crushed by a beam. He asks the wounded Lex for help. Lex stares upon him. The 3 funnels form a massive tornado. Clark speed running towards Lana. When she sees him, she shouts out to him whilst the car's lifted into the air. Clark runs up to save her.